In this video, I will be taking you through the DigiShares tokenization platform. I'll start off by logging in as a platform administrator, and a platform administrator is a type of administrator that manages the specification of the platform and the behavior of the platform that the users experience. To log in, I simply use my credentials, and once I am authenticated, I'm taken in to the dashboard. The dashboard contains the various different modules, but for now, the module of interest is going to be the offerings one, as the offerings module contains the architecture of the platform, and the architecture is that I have a single main company, the company that operates the platform, whose logo, name, and domain can of course be modified. And after they have been set, we have the ability to view the various different offerings that are hosted by the operator. The offerings can not only differ in the description, the images that are displayed, and the attributes that are associated to the offering itself, but also the share structure. As an example, the modern suburban building has 3 classes of shares, while the next offering, the commercial building, if I click into its share structure, I can see that it only has 2 classes of shares. The 2 classes of shares that we do support are the non-tokenized class of share and the tokenized class of share. The non-tokenized classes of shares, they simply make use of our internal database and interacts with no blockchain whatsoever, so all the information is stored offline. However, the tokenized class of share, it makes use of a blockchain network, and the blockchain network very much depends on the selection of the user. Mainly it boils down to EVM-based networks or non-EVM networks. And if we're working with EVM networks, we can work with layer 1 and layer 2. Once the classes of shares are created, the users are now ready to come in and purchase these shares. Of course, to purchase the shares, one needs to be KYC'd. So for that, we would go into the settings of the platform itself and select the KYC provision. For this, we first select our provider, and providers are put into 2 main categories. A provider can be internal, meaning the documents and the information of the user is simply collected by the platform, but it is not checked. That is on the burden of the operator. Or it can be automated by using an already integrated provider, such as BlockPass, SumsUp, Netkey, or Gcash. Or if you want to work with a provider of your choice that is not within the list, you can also make use of our integration layer. Once that is done, you simply have to select at what step is KYC provision made. Is it made on registration? So as soon as the investor has confirmed their email address, they will be required to go through the KYC process. You can also delay it. So you can delay it on the intent of purchase. So an investor can come in and browse on the investor side of the platform and select an offering of their choice. And once they fancy an offering, they would be required to go through a KYC process. You can also ignore KYC if you're doing demos, or have the KYC be done after documents have been signed, but before any sort of payment legitimizes it. Once all of this is set up and the investors come onto the platform and perform these actions, you can also monitor the progress of an investment. To do that, you simply need to go into the issuers view, and if I just go into the offering section, each and every single one of these offerings has its own drill down administration side. For that, I will need to log in to one of them. As an example, the commercial building, all you need to do is select a pre-created administrator, or you can create an administrator of your own, log in. And once you've done that, you will be taken into the overview menu. The overview menu shows you the total number of shares that you have within the offering, the number of shares distributed, the number of shares still held within the company, and the number of investors that you have. An investor can be an individual or an investing entity. To view them, you simply again use the navigation bar on the left-hand side, and as an example, if you want to view your investors in detail, you can. You have an investor list that you can make use of, or if you want, you can simply view all of them through the share register. And the share register summarizes all of the information found within the offering itself, and the share register is going to be unique per offering. So each and every single offering will have its own unique list of investors and the investments that they've made. Registry entry contains an investor's first name and last name, plus its unique ID within the platform, the class of share or shares that they hold, the value of these shares, both the issuance value and the market value, the quantity that they hold, the amount invested, and the voting power that is associated with holding the shares themselves. At the very end of the list, all of the information is summarized at the very bottom. All of the information found here can also very easily be exported via PDF files, JSON files, or CSV. We also support API-based exports if needed. For an investor to become a part of this list, they need to make an investment. And for that, they of course need to register on the platform, go through the KYC process, and perform an investment. For the purposes of this demo, I also have an investor who is already registered on the platform and marked as KYC approved, which means they're allowed to come in to the platform, browse around the various different assets. They have the ability to view the details of the asset, which includes the relevant text blurb, the various different pictures or PDFs set by the administrators, and the different bullet points which were created for the asset itself. From there on out, they can simply click the Invest Now button, or alternatively, on the project cards themselves, they have the ability to simply just click the Buy button, which takes them directly to the share purchasing screen where they select the class of share which they wish to purchase. As an example, I'll invest in Class D for this project, where I can see the number of shares available, the price per share, the restrictions set. In this case, there are no restrictions. I simply enter the number of shares that I wish to buy, and once the number is set, an additional calculation is made, such as the addition of fees or the calculation of discounts. Once that is done, the total price is shown and the wallet that is attached to the investor. The investor has the ability to bring their own wallets, and through Wallet Connect, we support over 50 wallets through the various different EVM networks. Once done, we simply send the buying of shares request, which will bring up the relevant documentation. In this case, I only have a single contract that needs to be signed, where I simply scribble my signature. The process is almost exactly the same with DocuSign or Dropbox Sign. The difference is the user is either redirected into the external application, or an iframe is simply shown with the document itself. Once that is done, I simply save and approve. Once all the documents have been approved, I am shown the payment method, which in this case is a crypto-based payment method, where I simply approve of the payment. Everything is pre-calculated. I simply click the Send Payment button, which will pop up MetaMask. And once MetaMask has popped up, I simply confirm the transaction. And once the transaction has been indexed, I will be taken into my portfolio. And I'm now currently waiting for the transaction to be processed by the network. Once the transaction has been processed, I will immediately receive the shares. The length of waiting very much depends on the network being used and the load exhibited on the network. Once done, I simply click OK, and I can see the additional shares which have now been entered to my portfolio. The transaction, of course, is atomic, so there is no counterparty risk. Within my portfolio, I can see the aggregated amounts of my investments, and below that, I can see the various different offerings that I've invested in with the different classes of shares and number of shares that I hold within them. If the administrators allow so, or the shares themselves allow so, I also have the ability to trade them within the secondary market. The secondary market allows for additional liquidity for the shares, where investors who have already been KYC'd or have already participated in the primary purchase have the ability to post buy and sell orders. As an example, I can post a sell order for Class A, where I am given an active period. The active period may or may not be limited by the administrator, where they can set a custom open and a close date or a bracket within it. And then I simply select the number of shares that I wish to sell. As an example, I want to sell 50, and I also get to choose the price at which I'm selling for the purposes of the demo. I can sell it for $2 per share, and the calculation is automatically made on the shares, including the marketplace fee, which again is performed by the platform administrator. Once I open the sell order, it will appear for all of the various different investors within the platform, within the marketplace orders. And for that, I will log in as another investor to view the order itself. Once logged in, I simply head back into the marketplace to see the order itself. And if I want to react to it, I simply click the view details and make offer, and I'm given the option of immediately creating a counteroffer or simply start a negotiation process in the hopes that I can convince the seller to lower the price. But for the purpose of this demo, I will simply just create a counteroffer. Once the offer has been created, it is now awaiting for the seller to approve. Once the approval is made, I will be given the payment channel through which I need to fulfill the payment, and once the payment has been fulfilled, the shares will be automatically transferred to myself if the crypto-based solution is made, because the crypto solution simply uses smart contracts to make sure that the transfer is again atomic. And that will conclude the quick run through of the platform. For any other questions, do not hesitate to contact us.